In the lawn care community, we hear a lot of discussions about spoon feeding your lawn rather than putting a lot of fertilizer down all at one time. Rather putting smaller doses of fertilizer and nutrients into the lawn on a more frequent basis. Spoon feeding is definitely something that I've been using in my practices on my own lawn for quite some time, and I definitely think the results speak for themselves. So I wanted to go over the process of how I spoon feed my lawn, the types of products that I use, and some of the benefits that come along with spoon feeding rather than giving your lawn maybe a pound or even a 3/4 pound of nitrogen, maybe monthly, backing off, splitting that up, and maybe applying in 2-week intervals, and talk about how we go about doing that. When you're spoon feeding your lawn, as a best practice, you want to use products that are going to be readily available or plant available. So what I'm talking about is like a fast release nitrogen like urea or ammonium sulfate. These are products that the grass can use right away, especially if you're applying in smaller doses. Having it readily available is going to be the best course to go. You really want to stay away from polycoated ureas or biosolids and things that need time and heat to break down for the grass to use. If you're spoon feeding with those types of products, you're not going to get the best result. Those are more for a slow release. So if you apply like a pound of nitrogen at a single time, you're going to get a release over an extended period, whether that's 4, 5, or 6 weeks, even up to 8 weeks, depending on the type of product you're using. If it's a controlled release urea, it's going to be like a duration 90, where it's going to feed for a long period of time. In this case, when we're spoon feeding, we want fast release products. So those are going to be your ammonium sulfates, and then I'm also using a general 20/20 on the lawn. So I want to show you kind of what those looks like, because the ammonium sulfate comes in a few different varieties, and I think the concept of ammonium sulfate for a lot of DIYers might seem a little bit daunting or overwhelming, but it's really not that bad. So let me show you the types that I use in my lawn. So these first two products, these are going to be your water-soluble ammonium sulfate products. These are products that you can break down in warm water and spray to your lawn as a foliar spray. The really, really fine ammonium sulfate, this is called Solugreen. Both of these products are produced by the American Plant Food Company. And this is a very, very fine particle size, almost looks like the consistency of sugar. This one is highly soluble, breaks down into solution very, very fast. And then you have another sprayable grade. It's a little bit cheaper. The Solugreen usually runs about $35 a bag for a 50-pound bag, and these are both 2100 analysis with the 24% sulfur in it. So 21% nitrogen in both of these products. The American Plant Food Soluble, this runs about $24 to $25 a bag right now. This is about double the size of the particles. This is also water soluble, breaks down pretty well, not quite as well as the Solugreen. So if you're looking for something that breaks down really easy, you're going to want to look for the Solugreen. You can find this version at any, ag store, Buck Heights, Rural King, places like that. At one time, you could pick up a bag of this ammonium sulfate sprayable grade for about $15, maybe even cheaper. And then you also have a third kind, which is more of a granular type of ammonium sulfate. As you can see, it's got a much bigger prill size. This is designed for spreading dry. So you put this in your spreader and go ahead and spread that out. So generally what I do with these products is I'm applying these about every 2 weeks, and I'm alternating that with the 20/20. So twice a month I'll be applying sulfate to my lawn. I usually apply that at about a 1/4 pound at a time. So depending on if you want to spray it or you want to spread it, you can find these products pretty easily. Actually, this particular product that you see right here, the granular, Lowe's now carries this ammonium sulfate. It's about $24 for a 40-pound bag, and this is one that you can easily throw in your spreader, the hopper of your spreader, and go ahead and put that out. But all three of these are fast nitrogen sources, so if you want to do that, you can use equipment like a backpack sprayer, or even for the ammonium sulfate that you would spread, I'm using basically just a Scott's spreader like this one, and I load my ammonium sulfate up into the hopper and I spread. Generally I'm only using about 6 pounds on my front yard and then another 6 pounds on my backyard, so it's easier just to load it up into one of these spreaders and go ahead and apply. Since I just applied the ammonium sulfate just a few weeks ago, it's time for the 20/20 application. I'm not going to really show you how to apply the ammonium sulfate in a backpack sprayer. It's essentially the same process as what I'm going to do with the 2020, and we're going to go ahead and weigh out enough product to measure out. I'm going to spray the front yard and the backyard separately. If I had a little bit bigger carrier volume in the tank, on my backpack sprayer I might do the entire thing, but we're just going to separate it and do the front and the back separately. So I'm roughly just under 3,000 square feet in the front and in the back, so I'm going to put down enough product to cover between 2,500 and 3,000 square feet. So I usually store my fertilizer, especially the 2020, in a 5-gallon bucket, mainly because of the humidity that we have here. When it does get really humid out, sometimes the fertilizers tend to clump together, so keep it in a bucket to keep it sealed. But I'm just going to weigh out. I got a pound here, so I'm just going to put a few more of the 2020. So there's about 2 pounds. So this is what 4 pounds of 2020 looks like in a large pail. You want to mark, I could even just mark that if I fill it up to 2 quarts, that's how I know I got my 4 pounds. For future applications, it should go by a lot faster if you do that. Just mark your spot. That way you don't have to come back and weigh and measure everything every time. I just use one of these kitchen scales to measure out my product by the pound, put it in here, and then I go ahead and dissolve this in the backpack sprayer. Alright, so now we just need to load the backpack sprayer up. If you're going to be doing applications like this, a really good investment would be to get one of these cheap funnels that has a 50 mesh screen in the bottom of it. This really saves you from getting a lot of sediment and contaminants down in the bottom of your tank that don't always break down. A lot of times that'll get into the pump of your sprayer and could ruin it if you don't clean the sprayer out well enough. So cheap insurance is to get one of these funnels with a 50 mesh screen on the bottom. We'll just go ahead and we will put the Peters right in the backpack sprayer. So this would normally be the time where I come back in like a week or maybe 5 days and film the results and show you the results, but I don't have to do that. I've been on this program for about 6 weeks now so far this year through the spring, and this is what it looks like. So mostly ammonium sulfate giving me this color along with the 2020. The really nice thing about doing a program like this is if you need to add things to your spray mix as you're doing it, you just add them in at your 2-week intervals and then go ahead and apply that out at the same time. But as I mentioned before in some of my videos, if you're not following me on a regular basis, this is turf type tall fescue. It's a variety from Jacqueline. It's called Bonfire. It's a rather kind of a new variety. It's slow growing, very compact. Some may call it a dwarf fescue. I don't know if that's the best name for it, but it is definitely a fine bladed fescue that has excellent color. It can accept really low mow heights. I've heard from their salespeople as low as a ½ inch. I don't know about all that. I'm mowing in about 1.5 inches, and it looks pretty good. I'm mowing that with the California trimmer, the real mower, and then I have the Artemis growing on the side of the house. I'll show you too. So behind me here is the Artemis. Those are the Mountain View seed varieties. Also really good color, very slow growing. Mowing that at 1.5 inches. I think the blades on this variety just slightly thinner than it is out here on the Jacqueline, but all in all they both look fantastic. So far, of course, it's only spring, and mowing at 1.5 inches isn't really a daunting task. We'll see what happens when we get to summertime. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the overall color. I'm happy with the growth. And generally, if I miss a mow throughout the week, it only grows about 1.5 inches. especially during spring, during the flush growth. That's certainly nice, and I haven't seen any seed heads come up yet. So yeah, overall pretty happy with this, and I'm happy with the program. So as you can see for yourself, here's the results from the spoon feeding. As I mentioned in the front yard, you can tank mix things with the spray mix every 2 weeks if you want to. One of the things I like to do for a little bit added color, maybe before a holiday, add in 2 ounces per thousand of the feature. This is a dry iron. It's 10% iron. It's got a lot more micros in there as well. That's something I like to use on occasion, not all the time. I think overly fed iron lawns don't look great. We'll just say that. But then also if you want to add some herbicide in there as well, like a 3-way herbicide like Speed Zone or something along those lines, you can always add that in as well if you need to. So it makes it really convenient when you're out spraying every few weeks. Just add those to the tank as you go and get it done. So thanks for watching the video. Hope you took something from this. Spoon feeding is something I like to do. Even going into fall, you can spoon feed with a 4600 urea, maybe a 1/4 pound every week at that point as you're heading into winter dormancy. But this is what I like to do throughout the year, even through the summer, of applying the ammonium sulfate, and then in another 2 weeks go ahead and applying the 20/20. Getting really good results with that. Tried it out for a short time last year, really liked it, so I'm going to go full-time with it this year. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you don't mind, go ahead and like the video. Leave me some comments in the comment section if you have any questions, or if you have spoon-fed your lawn in the past and you like the results. Let me hear about it. And I hope to catch you guys in the next one.